It's Matty and Patty, coast to coast. From Brooklyn, this is world champion Pat McMenamin. In San Francisco, I am joined by fellow world champion Matt Youngner. Say hello, champion.
Champion! How you doing, Patty?
Well, I am good. I'm also joined by fellow champion, famed contributor to Becca's Ballin', Becca Perkins. Say hello, champion.
Hey, champions. Party Napoli.
Whoa. I feel weird, Pat. This is the first time there's a girl been on the podcast.
No. What do we do? What do we do with ourselves?
I don't know.
What are you voice gonna crack?
I'm getting very nervous.
Just hold a mug in each hand.
I don't know what to do with my hands. Hold two mugs. Welcome to the Cleveland Sports Hour. We are two self-aware but unapologetic homers who spend far too much time watching, reading, and thinking about the 2016 NBA World Champion Cleveland Cavaliers,
Boom.
2016 American League Champion Cleveland Indians, and a semi-pro football team. So if you'd like the informed, intelligent Cleveland fans' perspective on all things, you've come to the right place. Oh, Matty, so much has happened.
You mean because we haven't talked in 4 months or something?
Yeah, exactly. Well, Becca corrected me earlier when I said 3 months. It was actually
been
2
like
months.
2 months and a couple of days.
Okay. Thanks, Debbie Downer. But yeah.
Also, lots of conversation off the internet in between them.
True.
That doesn't count for our listeners.
No.
True. There is so much to talk about.
There's much to talk about. And yes, Cleveland had another historic Game 7 in the World Series, but this time Cleveland went up on the wrong side, and it took a fucking act of God to take that one away from us. But let's not dwell on that right now. We'll get to that in due time when we start talking about the Tribe. Let's start off with some good news, Matty. That opening piece you may recognize. Did you recognize it?
I did not.
You not recognize that scintillating?
Was that Whiplash?
What's that? No, it's the new. Good. He's good. He's
Matty, you are so good.
It's not Whiplash, though. It is the soundtrack to the new Kyrie 3 sneaker ad, which debuted on Christmas Day. I thought you would have seen it.
And what was the inspiration for it?
Whiplash, the inspiration. That's what I thought. Where I thought you were going with it.
Yeah, it was. Well, that's Questlove, and that's the thing. It's
that was the Questlove solo. Gotcha.
The Questlove solo mixed in with some Kyrie beats, pounding that basketball.
Becca's Ballin', when I worked on SVU, Questlove would DJ all of our rap parties.
So talented.
I can vouch for this. It's pretty awesome.
Fun fact.
Pretty cool.
Had the comb and everything.
So I picked that piece, Matty, to honor the cold-blooded killer on the Cavaliers roster, Kyrie Irving, who had another game winner against the Golden State Warriors. Back-to-back game winners, Matty, in Game 8 of the 2016 NBA Finals.
Yeah, that's right.
That is just
what a great game, man.
What a great game. What a great week, too. So, before we jump fully into the cast stuff, again, this week saw the Cleveland Indians sign the best, arguably the best hitter left best hitter on the free market, Edwin Encarnacion. A huge upgrade.
Definitely the best one left.
Yeah, definitely left, and arguably one of the best hitter, I think. Of course, Cavs beat the Warriors, and the Browns even won a game.
Yeah, but let's not talk about that.
Yeah,
that's not what I agree.
You can talk about that one.
That was a banner week.
But I have to say,
yes,
I could only tune into the last 5 minutes of the Golden State Cavaliers re-up because I was so stressed out about it. And the last 5 minutes couldn't have been more stressful than any other minutes of the game. And god damn it if Kyrie Irving didn't freaking pull it out and make me love the Cavaliers in a way that I've never loved the sports team. And I would never get this stressed. I never could have pictured myself getting this stressed out about a sports team win in my life. And that just goes to show you what this team has going on behind it. Plus, then when they won, all of their handshake dinger-dingers that they do.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, these guys.
Becca, there's some Golden State Warrior fans that hate all those handshakes.
Well, they can go.
Well, welcome to the suck, Becca.
You're in.
Oh, I love my wife.
I'm on the internet. I can't now run for president. There you have it.
Well, you just Becca's balling. Oh, I did say Becca Perkins, so yeah, jigs up.
Exactly. Never gonna be president now.
Matty, give me your thoughts on that game. I mean, it was just wild. There were so many wild sequences. We couldn't possibly name them all.
Cavs did not play well.
No.
Particularly in the first half, most of the third quarter. They're missing a ton of shots.
Under 40%.
I sort of just resigned. Yeah, I was sort of just resigned to it not being a great game. They brought it back enough where I was like, I'm not going to be – they're missing JR. I'm not going to be too upset if they lose this thing, right? And then when they started to come back and RJ had the dunk and technical, I was like, I don't even care if they lose now. That's awesome. That's all I needed to see.
It's amazing.
Was that. For them to actually come back and get it, more than I could have hoped for. Especially with the Kyrie shot was amazing, but we talked a little bit about this, Pat. The LeBron, and I was so happy to see Dave McMenamin write the piece about it too. The LeBron dunk, completing the dunk that he could not in Game 7 of the Finals, I seriously cackled for a good minute after he made that. I just lost total control of myself. It was awesome.
Yeah. Yeah, I was definitely laughing uncontrollably.
I just lost it. That swing on the rim was absurd. Absolutely absurd.
I've never seen that in my life, ever.
And then there was no PT down.
Yeah. We had like a shoulder shimmy in there. He would swung forward back and then went. He was just
so fired up. I get Golden State being upset about that, especially because Draymond got teed up for hanging on the rim, I don't know, a week and a half ago or something, a week ago.
No,
for a wink.
For a week.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, and that's true too. Those two things sort of balanced each other out.
That was a clear makeup call.
Did you read the thing on Twitter that after the Richard Jefferson technical, I think the Cavs played what Draymond was doing when he got just one tee?
Oh.
The Cavs, they're on point.
On point.
They're video guys. We got to learn some names of those guys, Pat, and give them a proper shout out. That's maybe how we could get a celebrity, quote unquote, celebrity guest on, is go in there.
That's a great idea. That is a fantastic.
Those guys get no love, and I say it all the time. Every Warriors game I go to out here, you saw it, Patty.
Mm-hmm.
The AV stuff and all that, and video production quality of the Warriors is way below that of the Cavs.
Crap. It's crap.
Way below it.
They're garbage.
Sort of astonishing to me.
Well, Matty, hey, look, we're coming from the elite North Coast oil money. These are poor blue collar. AV club folks. These are just high schoolers. That's all I could find.
Yeah, interns.
Interns. Beautiful Becca, are you tuning in?
I have the Princess Diaries to read. I have a massive tribute to Princess Leia, aka Carrie Fisher, and also to her mommy, Debbie Reynolds, R.I.P. I really am so sad about their death, and I have their new book that Pat just got for me, signed by Princess Leia herself, Carrie Fisher, and I'm going to bed to read it.
That sounds amazing. Your husband's amazing.
My husband's amazing.
He stood in line for an hour to get that for you?
He did, and he only has the most amazing best buddy in Matty, and so that's why this is the best podcast in the world.
All right.
Becca was some truth bombs on her way out. It's pretty amazing.
Enjoy the book, Becca.
Night.
Patty, let's dive in and talk about Kyrie.
Yes, please. Let's go right into it. Let's go right into Kyrie.
So you told me yesterday, like, we got to talk about Kyrie. He's getting some shit. There's that article about how he's not doing so well, and then the True Hoop podcast, which I actually have not had an opportunity to listen to, but I have thoughts.
Okay. Well, yeah.
Anyway, because I think the True Hoop stuff extended from the article.
It did. And to quickly recap for anyone that wasn't paying that close attention, there was an article by basically the head of ESPN Stats. The headline was something along the lines of Kyrie Irving hasn't really improved from his rookie year, with some stats on how great his rookie year was, but that He didn't follow the trend line of names like the four of the greatest point guards in the league between Harden, all these MVP candidates.
Harden, Westbrook, and Paul, basically, those three guys.
Basically. They didn't follow their trajectory. And then, without really backing it up at all, tossed in some slander about Lowry, Lillard, and Wall being arguably better than him. So that was the first thing. And then True Hoop just turned into a stupid fest, from what I understand, because I didn't have the patience to listen to it. I read the recap on Twitter, basically. But yeah, Matt, give me your thoughts on that first before I go any further.
So my first thing was, I mean, I don't think I have to turn in my Cavs card if I say that Kyrie probably isn't as good as Westbrook and Harden.
Not at all. He's not.
Right?
He's not.
I don't think that.
No one's saying that. No one was saying that. That doesn't make you a bad player who's disappointed.
And that was essentially the point of that article was Kyrie is very good. He just isn't as good as Westbrook and Harden. And I'm like, okay.
Great. Telling me what this was already conventional wisdom. Thank you.
Yeah. He several times he's like, don't get me wrong. He's very good. He just hasn't gotten quite as good as maybe we would have predicted. And I guess that's true. I don't know that I have an argument for that, right? The only thing I would push back there is a lot of the big evidence that I saw statistically there that was not PER was that his 3-point percentage was not good last year. But he's also coming off of breaking his kneecap, and I don't think ever really got his legs back under him until the playoffs. Which is something that was sort of an active storyline last year.
Yeah, I understand the podcast used that as a point of how bad he was on defense in the regular season last year. It's like, assholes! He didn't broken kneecap until halfway through the year. I'm sorry, I actually don't want him running through hard screens in the fucking regular season. The point is, he did in finals. That's what it mattered. Yeah, and you can posit this as a legitimate criticism of him if you want, but he's been injury prone throughout his career too, right? Which I think has hurt him. And if you want to say, well, that's part of who he is, fine. That's a reasonable argument. I think an enormous part of LeBron certainly and somebody like Westbrook is that they don't get injured, and that's, if you want to view that as a skill, I don't really have an issue with that. So that's true, right? If the Rockets called the Cavs up and offered Harden for Kyrie, I don't know if we say yes, but there's that old Bill Simmons guy, who says no first? The Rockets say no first. Right, exactly.
Oklahoma City says no first in a Westbrook Kyrie deal. I think that's true. That said, Kyrie's fucking awesome and a great fit on this team, and I don't think any of that detract. I get the point, but it's not something that I find particularly interesting.
One thing that's interesting to me is that he really doesn't point out the things that Kyrie are elite at. He's an insanely efficient scorer, top 5. No one can, if you take his efficient field is
assuming his 3-point shot is where we expect it to be, his 3-point percentage. If it's down at 32% where it was last year,
of course
that's no longer true. But if it's up where it is, then yes.
But he's been demonstrating the ability to be at that level that very, very few guys are at. And that is, it's the kind of skill that really 3 or 4 other guys in the league might be able to replace. That alone makes him incredibly effective, especially because, and here's the big question, and this is the point I think of that article, is that he does have the skill set to actually improve upon that and become a more complete player. The difference is there's only so much you can become a distributor as a point guard, the classic point guard would be, when you're sitting next to LeBron James. And let's be clear, you and I had a lot of harsh criticism for Kyrie in the pre-LeBron years, right?
Very harsh.
Very harsh, because he was playing terribly. But again, also a terrible team that he was on, really, really bad. Worse than any of the teams that these other superstars are on, right? Put him on the current Rockets roster, or the Oklahoma City Thunder roster. He's not playing as poorly as he did in those years under fucking Byron Scott and Mike Brown.
No, and also those teams aren't. And if he, again, if you traded him for Russell Westbrook right now, I think the Thunder would be worse, and the Cavs would probably be better. I don't know if the Cavs would be better, honestly. That's a different question. But I take your point, and Kyrie also quietly in the last week or so his assist numbers are way up.
Mm-hmm.
In particular, his assists to LeBron numbers are way up. So
that's an interesting point you raised. Have you read the McTen article? Sorry, my cousin David McMenamin. He had a great feature with Kyrie the day before the Christmas Day game. Have you seen that yet?
Oh yeah.
It talks about how Kyrie's been talking about how he's looked at himself in the mirror and realized he can improve parts of his game. And you've quietly seen the Cavs shift over the last month. I think it was Cavs analyst Justin Rowan who pointed this out. The assist opportunities, I don't know the stat. I haven't seen this before, but in terms of the amount of assist opportunities that are available to a player or something like that, I mean, it's become a much greater balance in the month of December versus November. A huge shift. LeBron had a huge share of it, 19 a game, and now it's down to 14, and Kyrie's up from 7 to 13. And so that's pretty incredible. They're trying to run the offense more through Kyrie, and it seems like this is one of the things they're trying to slowly work into the game so they can actually go back and forth a little bit. I'm super, super excited about Kyrie's growth. I mean, he's shooting the three ball at a pace that we've been begging for, right? He's shooting 5 a game, 6 a game, something like that.
Yeah.
Which is what
and also, I'll take somebody with his limitations who also is a stone cold closer.
Yeah, stone cold killer. That's the whole point. That dude's a killer.
I'll trade away some defensive ability and some whatever you want to ball hogginess or whatever you want to criticize him for.
Yep.
For that particular characteristic, which he continues to demonstrate over and over again.
Absolutely.
That's a real quality of value. The other way you ding him here is that the Cavs stink when LeBron doesn't play, and they shouldn't.
Yeah.
And I'll take the Detroit game after, that was the most predictable loss in the world, right?
Exactly.
With or with, I'm not sure they would have won it if LeBron had played, right? There's such a letdown after that Christmas Day game. That's a schedule loss if ever I've seen one.
Am I wrong?
They still don't play well, and they don't play as well as they should when LeBron's not in there. And that's an indictment on Kyrie and Love in some way.
To a degree, I would take two things. One, I mean, am I wrong? Detroit's not known for being a good 3-point shooting team, and they shot the lights out on Sunday. It was ridiculous. Monday. But two,
that's right. They're not a particularly good.
No, and they were just crushing it, and we were making some decent comebacks, and they just bombed threes from every which angle. But no, the other reason I would point out is a bit of an excuse is that the Cavs lineups are built around LeBron because he's so good. He's the part of the starting lineup. He's part of he's the main guy in the second unit. You take that big cog out, and the rest of it doesn't work as well. Whereas LeBron right now, the way he runs, as long as he gets shooting, he can run an efficient unit. Kyrie hasn't been running the offense that way, and so I'd like to see if that changes as Kyrie becomes more of a distributor over the course of the year. That this experiment with him getting these 10-assist games, if that continues,
right?
We'll see if suddenly we can start winning these winnable games with LeBron on the bench.
And I guess in thinking long term, that's a question of what the post LeBron. I don't even want to talk about that. What that world will look like if you really build around Kyrie and what a team looks like.
Yeah, and I tend to think
true one.
Yeah, I tend to think Ty Lue would have a different lineup if he just had Kyrie and Love, or there's certainly different staggered rotations, right?
Well, I think Griffin would have a different team, right? That's the real. You'd structure the entirety of the team in a different way, probably.
Absolutely.
Unlimited time, so let's keep this moving. You want to talk about roster?
Not quite yet. I want to get one quick thing first. The other thing I wanted to get at is from the Golden State game. You noticed how long?
You want to do some hating?
Well, I want to do some hating, but first, just from an analysis standpoint, how long Love was able to stay on the court and was a huge plus the whole game. was not at all like the finals. Like, he was a huge reason we won that game. He was a huge plus. And then
a
also,
great game. And Channing Frye.
Right. It's sort of weird. I don't know why I think KD does this, but they were able to hold their own on the court the way we guarded. And we sort of tried to let KD beat us. And he had a huge game. He just went off. But it neutralized.
Yes, he came very close to doing it.
Yeah. The other weird thing is, Steph had yet another bad game against us.
He loves the no-show big games. Have you noticed that?
Oh, tons, yeah.
About how out of character the game was for him. And I was like, no, this is very much in character. This is a big game.
This is a par game for the last 2 seasons against us.
And he turtles.
Yeah. Well,
right back in his shell.
Well, part of it is, there's a good article just showing how relentless the Cavs are in exhausting him. There's this one point where Kyrie ran him through a pick and didn't need to, but turned and then ran back through the pick again. He just ran through the pick twice before driving. And at the end of the thing, how gassed he was at the end of that. And that just takes your legs out of you. It takes your mind out of it when you get that gassed. So that's just something that's been really nice to see this, not just a fluke. It's not just him being zoned out. I don't think he's that zoned out. I mean, maybe he is, but I think we're being effective against him. The other thing that was interesting is I just completely forgot about Andre Iguodala. He was invisible on the court. He is a huge reason. And if he's going to play like that, that's bad for them long term.
Yeah, it's hugely problematic for them. I mean, that's something that people worried about coming into this year. Mm-hmm. Bench thinner, Iguodala is your LeBron stopper, and he's older. He's no knock on him. He's just getting older.
That was a huge reason we won games 5, 6, and 7 was he started to cramp up towards the end of game 5, I think.
Yeah.
Right? Well, over game 6.
Yeah.
And it was a miracle.
No, it was end of game 6 because he looked.
Yeah. He looked done.
Yeah, we thought he might not play game 7.
Yeah, which we were excited about, but he did play. He looked pretty good, but he didn't really stop him. The Ryan had a triple-double. He's been kind of slowed up ever since. So that's something really important to keep an eye on. And I've been reading a little bit, but Iggy is one of the things that close, actual Warriors fans, not the bandwagoners, are really worried about. I think they understand how important he is to that team in a way that Kevin Durant, spectacular as he is, isn't as much of a glue guy for that. We have a game plan that kind of tends to work with them. I mean, it'll be interesting to see what Golden State does. They're gonna. You'd think they changed their plan, but as somebody else pointed out, they're almost too committed to ball movement to actually take advantage of the mismatches they can exploit on us. They just want to move the ball and do their Russian offense, which look, it fucking works great. When it works great, they get easy buckets all over the place and we can barely keep pace with them. But they could do the same kind of thing of trying to punish us, punish Kyrie and target him, right? Get those mismatches. There are tons of guys who Kyrie couldn't guard. Right.
Oh, for sure.
Let us hide him instead. So it'll be interesting to see.
What do you think about RJ guarding Durant, especially at the end there?
I mean, I was getting kind of upset about how much he's getting beat by him eventually, but he did okay.
I'm guessing that's just the time they didn't want to show, because my suspicion is LeBron guards Durant if we're in the finals in that situation, right?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know. I think they really put it I think it was a concerted plan to say, no, we'll have Kevin Durant go crazy and do his one-on-one stuff and break up their flow. Let's keep everybody outside of the game. Because eventually guys go cold. If Durant's going to score 35, they're doing the LeBron rules, right? Make him beat us by scoring. Don't let the whole team get going, right? People usually are happy to let LeBron score a ton. They don't want him to start passing the ball, right? They want to take that away from him. They don't want him to get his teammates involved because that's when you get killed and the whole team is humming. And and what we did was we kept it was just KD and Durant that were playing well, right? I mean, of course, Green was doing all right. But from a scoring perspective, those are the guys who were humming and everybody else is kind of out of sync. So it's interesting to watch.
It'll be interesting. And I don't think Lou showed his hand necessarily, right?
Potentially. I hope not. I certainly hope not. That's sort of been.
I feel like that. Did you catch? You made me think of this, Patty. Did you? One of the Cavs, somebody on Cavs Twitter, I can't remember who, was posting comments from Warriors fan boards, and one of them was a thing that was like, aren't you guys sick of just like this infatuation with winning? And yeah, I guess the Cavs do whatever it takes to win, but the Warriors basketball is so beautiful, and maybe there's something that's even better. It was unbelievable.
It's so bad. It's so great. They're so hurt. It makes me so good. Let me taste your tears. Oh,
They,
God. Although
they really are enjoyable.
I will say this sounds similar to my the defense of the old Cleveland Cavs I used to grow up with about how they used to pass the ball into beautiful basketball, whereas the Bulls just had this one-on-one massacre beast.
Yeah.
But you grow up, stop being a 10-year-old.
Yeah, that was 25 years ago. We thought that.
Yeah. Oh God! What a fucking game! So many. I mean, I was expecting. And I'll get this too early, but let's briefly talk about kill list update. I mean, has it changed at all? I mean, it's obviously green, very top.
Green is so far ahead of the pack. It's unreal.
Yep.
Steph Curry is in the rearview mirror somewhere.
KD's
I'll tell you, KD is making. Did you read that he was dropping motherfuckers on Love when he was dunking on him?
Yeah, absolutely. I caught that. I think RJ gets a technical.
Well, I don't care for that.
I don't care for that one.
Technical for the wink.
Yeah. What
did Kevin Love do to him? For goodness sake.
Yeah. Just trying to make his way in this world.
Yeah. So KD's creeping. I don't think he's in my top 5 yet, but he's creeping. Phil Jackson maybe made a run for it with that posse stuff. I didn't care for that one little bit.
Absolutely.
I don't think he's really in my top 5.
The Rockets are getting pretty good this season. James Harden, when we play him next, I'm sure is going to sneak back on there.
He's capable of getting there at a moment's notice.
If
we played a series against them, there's a lot of guys on that team I would start to hate. Beverly, for sure.
That team is full of a bunch of dicks. I mean, I don't know the full context of that game. I was reading about this with the Mavericks.
About Ariza going to try to fight that dude.
And they were all like, they were disrespected, blah, blah. And it was like, I don't know. I just heard a lot of talk coming from the Rockets, and the Mavericks just playing you guys hard. A couple of hard fouls. You guys sound like a bunch of fucking assholes. You sound like.
Yeah.
I can really hate on that Houston team easily.
But I don't think they're there yet for me. Let's see what happens when the Cavs go down and play Houston.
Yeah.
I'm watching in the background the Raptors Warriors right now. The Warriors are crushing. But I don't think there's anybody on the Raptors right now that's really getting me angry.
Nah, it's just they're like
Joakim Noah still makes me very upset. His face,
he's
the way
done.
He carries himself.
He's washed.
But he's so washed up that it's hard to be mad at him.
Exactly.
Is Dunleavy still on your list, Patty? He's been playing pretty shitty for us.
Yeah, no, he's still on there. I'm happy. The silver lining of him playing shitty is that I can still hate him.
Yeah, of course, definitely.
I'll take whatever I can get.
You might root for that the rest of the year.
I don't know. We might need him because we need someone to be like what we wanted him to be. Although it was kind of a bad idea in the first place. I think that he could be. Well, if he hit threes, he'd be fine. To be honest with you, but he's not hitting threes.
Yeah, I still think there's a chance he rounds into shape. We'll talk about that in a second when we talk about roster. I think there's a chance he rounds into being okay. But
I'm ready to talk.
Big nothing for us so far.
You ready to talk roster? Anything you want to say about the game?
I mean, no. The only thing I want to say on the hate list is there's people in the Eastern Conference. The Warriors are numbers 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 for me right now. But there's players on the Celtics. Jay Crowder.
Oh my God.
Al Horford could get there for me, for goodness sake. Kelly Olynyk is always lurking. That unathletic, bumbling Canadian could get there.
It's fucking Mask. You remember that movie Mask?
Yeah. Oh yeah. He looks a lot like him.
Have I missed those jokes, or have those jokes not been made yet? He looks like a kid from Mask.
No, there's somebody else that looks even more like Mask that I can't think of right now. Another athlete that I'm totally blanking on that I think occupies that cultural space for us, but it could get there.
Yeah, Boston.
I'm trying to think of other hateable. Boston for sure does. Charlotte, I don't really hate so many players on. The Hawks, I don't know. It's like Schroeder.
Detroit.
You know, Dwight Howard, I could start to hate again.
Yeah,
Push
but
came to shove.
Detroit, Milwaukee.
Who
No,
do you hate on Milwaukee?
I don't know.
I don't hate Antetokounmpo. I don't hate Jabari Parker.
No, I could
I
learn.
don't hate Delly.
You can learn to hate them.
I don't hate Middleton. That's true. I can learn to hate a lot of things. But there's not so many guys on there that I have active hate for. If they weren't playing the Cavs, I don't know there's anybody on that team that I would dislike. They're fun.
But I'll say this: Milwaukee is the one team that I'm worried about over the next 2 or 3 years of however many years we get left with LeBron. That's the team. Not this year. This is not their year. But dude, if that team just adds some shooters, they're deadly. They're deadly.
Oh, I'd rather avoid them in the playoffs. I'll tell you that right now.
Yeah, that team I'm terrified of
this year even
because they ball in up so much.
No, I think it's them in Boston, right, for the next little bit. Because, I mean, if Boston got Boogie Cousins this year, I'd start to get pretty concerned. Yeah.
The Boston got a lot of nice pieces. They're just a huge, one superstar away, obviously. And given the fact that Danny Ainge's training philosophy mirrors Scott Fuller's, to just offer ridiculous, insulting global offers until some poor idiot accepts it, and it's eventually going to work for him. It has in the past.
Yeah, I mean, then I think there's a very legit shot that they could get Boogie. Right? It seems like things are really falling apart there in Sacramento, and they can offer a no pun intended king's ransom for him right now.
Yes, but Kings have the 7th seed right now. They're a playoff team.
Yeah, I guess that's true. So if things would really have to implode with Boogie, because if they have any shot at the playoffs, they're not going to blow it up. They just got to open that new arena.
Exactly.
I'm going to try to go see the Cavs play there in a couple weeks, Patty.
Ooh, it's exciting. Hopefully it won't get blown out like the last time you went.
I was looking at tickets today. Kings tickets, reasonable, expensive but reasonable.
Yeah.
The tickets for the Warriors game on MLK Day are just punch me in the stomach.
Really?
$250 for upper deck.
Nosebleeds. Gee.
Bad seats.
Yeah, I mean, Becca and I are going to see the Nets game next week, I think. And yeah, tickets are normally like, $30-$40 upper decks, and we had to pay like $100 for that.
Oh yeah.
But
champions, man.
That's the championship markup.
That's right. You want to talk roster?
I would love to talk roster. So let me set the stage for you first, and then you give me your take. Sure. The way I see it, look, the major needs are a point guard, a backup point guard, a 3-and-D defensive wing, and a big man, right? Those three. We don't have much in the way of trading chips. We have a trade protection exception, but not a lot of teams are strapped for cap space because of the huge cap spikes. That's not that.
Yep. Not as valuable.
Not as valuable. We have Cedi Osman, the Turkish delight.
Oh yeah.
Who actually? I mean, he's kind of he's probably not going to be anything. He's not Christian Iyengar. He's a decent, skilled project who could be really good. But after him, it's Keith Felder. Like there's not much in the way of trade assets, so it's not likely
future draft picks, right?
Yeah, but even then, we've traded away so many firsts. We don't have a lot to give. They're like a couple of years away. I don't even know how many.
No, I don't think we've had any futures given up anymore, do we? We gave up last year's. I think we can't trade this year's until the draft, but I think we can trade our 2018 pick. I'm pretty sure.
I thought we given that away already, but I can't remember. Well, maybe we had an extra pick
to Boston.
I don't know. Who knows? Yeah.
When we were unloading players pre-LeBron, maybe. But I think that was this year's pick.
So there's not a lot. But the point being,
anyway, you're right. There's not a whole lot. You're right.
We're likely only going to get one of these three. We might be able to get two. There's no way we're getting three. So where are your priorities, man, and why?
So I think last is a backup point guard.
Mm-hmm.
And that is because actually LeBron's going to be my answer to a lot of questions here, right? LeBron is my answer there, right? Because he is sort of the point guard in the starting unit, and Kyrie is sort of the point guard when he's out of the game.
Yep.
And for the limited, and Jesus Christ, I mean limited when I talk about Iman Shumpert.
Yes.
You know how I feel about him dribbling.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think we need that much more than that. It would be a nice to have.
Mm-hmm.
And maybe Felder will get there someday, but I don't think we need that. After that, I think I go big man. And again, this is because LeBron can swing out and play the 4 extremely effectively. RJ can play the 4. The big man I'd like to have would just be like a young Chris Anderson type, right?
Yeah.
Like a big guy who can play D and be very smart on D and run the floor and dunk.
Mm-hmm.
That's all. I don't need a skilled big man on this. I'd love to have one, but we don't need a skilled big man. And I sort of feel like there should be some hope that that type of player could be around, right?
Yeah.
Like I'm not under the illusion that we're going to get Nerlens Noel, but like homeless man's Nerlens Noel, who's just a heads-up guy that's big and can do those things. It feels like those are the kind of players you can turn up, which is also sort of what the wing need we have is guys that you can find, like our new starting shooting guard, DeAndre Liggins, right?
Yeah.
Who are guys that are kicking around and just working on their game and can defend and learn how to shoot a 3. Those, you can find those types of guys, right? Like,
yeah.
Atlanta's been finding them for years. Golden State's pretty good at finding that type, honestly. So I feel like those are out there, and I think the hope coming into the year was that Jordan McRae would sort of be some version of that, and every minute looks like he is not any version of that.
No, he's a D-League All-Star. It's he's not going to be a rotation player ever. It seems like
it doesn't feel. He's looked and he's getting. I mean, he's going to get his opportunity now. But he is just not like I'm so much more comfortable with Liggins in the game.
Oh, for sure.
Than with him.
Liggins can only play when the big 3 are all on the court to mask his offensive deficiencies. But when he's out there, it's just great. You got this like assassin out there just targeting guys. But I mean, he really bothered Steph when he had the ball. In his games, that was really clear. So that's great to see. It's great. It's a great weapon to have available. But he feels like a real asset to me. Yeah, I have to say I completely agree with you. My priority is getting a wing defense first and foremost, big man next, and then point guard last. Because you're right. LeBron's the starting point guard. Kyrie is sort of he starts out as the shooting guard, so to speak. And when LeBron's out of the lineup, Kyrie is playing point guard basically, and then Amon's sort of the emergency guy to bring the ball up the court, but he's not really running the offense. It's LeBron's running the offense with him.
Now, there's a world in if Detroit was better, I'd be worried about running into them without big man depth.
Yeah.
And just having Drummond eat us alive, but I just don't think they're good enough for that to be an issue.
No.
And then after that, who are the teams that have that kind of size and big guys that play like that?
Yep.
I guess if we were going to run into Boogie, I'd be worried.
Yeah, you just really want to have.
But those guys are in the West, though. Like the Towns, Davis, Boogie, those kind of bigs. They're there, but we're not going to have to worry about them.
Right.
And clearly not necessary against the Warriors.
No, exactly. But to me, at the end of the day, that's what you're thinking about. That's what you're worrying about. That's why that's you should be targeting the roster in a trade. It's one goddamn team. Because look, if you can't get to the finals and face them, say love you. Then you can rethink things.
Yeah.
And go back to the time. But right now, you got to think that we're pretty good enough that we can scrap past any team, even if we have a few inches in the wrong spots. The important thing is to be able to have all the tools necessary to beat the Golden State Warriors. And if we face some other team, say love you. Normally I say don't target one team. I was saying that all the time last year, I think, right? Don't target one team. The last time we did that, we tried to target the Orlando Magic, with the Shaq trade,
right?
Signing, and we, blew up because we didn't actually face them, and we didn't actually have a good matchup against the Celtics. Instead, you can't assume you're going to have the matchup you want. But in this case, I think they're so goddamn good and otherwise unbeatable that we have to target them, and we have to just hope that we have enough to get by everybody else. And if we don't, we don't.
And I barring like a boogie type trade to a couple teams on the East, I think we're fine.
Yeah, agreed.
With what we have.
Where are you looking at?
The Cavs have to do something, right? I don't think they can go through go through the season with dead roster spots in Mo Williams and Birdman.
Right.
And the effectively dead roster spots of McRae, Felder, and James Jones.
Yes. Yeah. With their
right, and then because then one of your 10 is Dunleavy, who has also been no great shakes.
No.
So I think they need to add functional players.
Yeah.
And I'm a little concerned that the NBA is smarter now to not allow them to rip somebody off.
Right.
You know, who are the dumb GMs you'd focus on, and especially with the, as you pointed out earlier, salary crunch being less of a thing now.
Yeah, exactly.
So this will be I'm sure Griff is looking forward to the challenge. If there's anybody that can do it, I believe he can. I guess all that said, he picked up Channing Frye for nothing last year for Joe Harris, right?
Mm-hmm. So yeah, and that's been huge. I take back the idea that we can only get one of these three, only because we have enough trade pieces. If we want to trade Chetty, if we want to trade K. Felder, I don't really want to trade K. Felder or Chetty, but I'd be willing to give one of them depending on what we get back in return. And we have the trade protection exception. We can probably trade for one of these pieces, and don't forget, there's going to be a lot of guys, a lot of good, solid veterans who still have a lot to give that get bought out.
True too.
Yeah,
and we should theoretically be an attractive destination for those guys.
I mean, obviously, it was bizarre that we lost that.
Although the Warriors will be too.
Yeah, I'm still continually surprised how many guys don't find them to be obnoxious, but corny ass Warriors. But we'll see. So I don't know. Who are you thinking that could be legitimate targets? I mean, PJ Tucker is the guy that I keep hearing a lot about out in Phoenix. It's a guy that Griff has targeted for a long time and fits the mold of a long, kind of defensive-minded wing player that can shoot three.
Yeah. I haven't honestly heard so many other names floated so far. That's the one name I've heard, and it's really just been wing conversation. The backup point guard thing is focused on guys who are not on roster, the Mario Chalmers of the world.
But Chalmers coming back from an Achilles injury, and he's like delayed by a month. And
and also, Pat, I have serious issues with him jumping up ahead of Kendrick Perkins as the most hated Cav ever for me. I hate Mario Chalmers. Oh my God. He was running around thinking he was a top 5 point guard in the league. Oh, come on.
He's got those bug eyes.
I don't want any part of that.
Nope. Okay, can you imagine Kendrick Perkins, Mike Dunleavy
and Mario Chalmers?
All the
not okay.
3-year time span.
Not okay. We could probably take Joakim Noah off the Knicks' hands, Patty. They'd probably do that.
Oh God.
For some salary relief.
You know what, Matty? I would actually do that just to fuck with him, make him live in Cleveland half the year.
I wouldn't.
You guys sit here and live in this house.
That is dead money.
I
think we're gonna have to wait to see what shakes out in the rest of the league. Who drops out of the playoff picture? Whose scenes blow up? Who gets unhappy?
How soon do we have to move? Because we only have 8 usable players right
now. Yeah. I don't know. I feel like they can get through. They're obviously not concerned about the number 1 seed.
Yeah.
And record generally, right? Like they don't care. Although I think we're going to open up a 2-game lead because the Warriors are up by 21 with a minute 50 left in the first quarter. So I don't think they care about that. They're going to keep resting LeBron and the rest of the guys down the stretch, which I think everybody agrees with. So I think they got a lot of time, deadline and beyond. They have to whenever rosters have to be finalized a month before the playoffs or whatever it is, a couple weeks before the playoffs, to pick up free agents. So I don't feel like they think they need to move anytime soon, and I don't think they're going to do something dumb because they feel like they need a body on the roster.
Right.
Like the worst case would be they finally finalize the buyout for Mo and get rid of him and add somebody from the D League.
Mm-hmm. Oh God!
I feel like they just need active players.
Mo's dead contract, Jesus. Yeah, we got a bunch of dead contracts in this team. Anyway, I think we're drifting. Let's anything else you want to say about the Cavs before we move on to
No, I'm super hyped. I love this team more and more each day.
That Christmas present was just so perfect. And this gets actually to a good transition point, Matty. Watching that game, Becca was really, and as you heard her say earlier, like she was just so tense, in those last 5 minutes. I don't know about you, Matty. Like I was excited, I was pumped, but I felt like it was in a different place. I was prepared for us to lose that game because it meant more to the Golden State than it did to us. One, and two, I'm just used to being annoyed on Christmas Day by matchups. So I was geared up for a loss, but also I was very much like, it's okay. Regular season has taught me it doesn't matter.
Yes. No, 100%. That stuff doesn't matter.
And also, it doesn't matter. Like, I will be annoyed. I'll be bummed if we don't win the championship this year. But you can't erase, you can't take away coming back from a 3-1 deficit to win the greatest NBA championship in history. I can't get that upset anymore.
No, maybe ever.
Which brings me to the 2016 World Series.
Yeah, my God.
Oof. I mean, as you said to me, can you imagine if the Cavs hadn't won Game 7? How devastating Game 7 of the World Series would have been.
That might have been it for me, man.
I'm out. That's it.
That's another crazy, everybody's talking about what a terrible year 2016's been, and Trump won, and everybody died, and all this stuff. And I'm like, yeah, but one amazing thing did happen, and I like that.
I mean, Matty,
if that hadn't happened, I would be in such a dark place.
Oh my God!
That we came back, we had them on the ropes, and then a rain shower came through and wiped it away. I don't know that I could have recovered.
Matty, that would have made me believe in God incontrovertibly. That alone, and secondly, would have made me believe that he also fucking hates us, hates Cleveland.
Yeah.
Out of petty spite to make things as miserable as possible for us, for us to find new, increasingly more miserable ways to lose. But this didn't feel like that. Like that's exactly how I felt about this. Would have thought like this is the worst. I didn't think things could get lower, and they've gotten lower. Like they got heartbreaking. I'll admit I was despondent and publicly depressed for a full day. But the last time this happened in 1997, I was really depressed for over a week. And as one of the stories I tell people all the time is that I've never been that visibly depressed about anything in my life for that long. Even being dumped by girls was not that bad. This was the worst. That was the worst I'd ever really been depressed about something, and which is dumb because I've had worse things happen in my life than that. But it just was like a cloud that followed me.
I know the feel. I will tell you, Patty, I felt better that next day than you did. I felt better the night of.
Yeah.
The next day, I still felt I felt a little more rotten as the day went on. I have not had it in me yet to read a bunch of ESPN just had here are all the crazy moments from Game 7 of the World Series article that was on today. I can't read that yet.
Did you read Joe
and
his piece?
No.
That's worth
Nope, I haven't. And of course it is. I love Poznanski. He's my favorite sports writer. I haven't been able to do that. He and Michael Schur do a podcast.
Right.
Talked about their favorite moments from that World Series. I haven't been able to listen to that. Saved on my phone. So I'm upset about it still, but it's not nowhere near worlds apart from where it would have been if the Cavs had won.
Yeah, no, exactly. The thing is, like, when it was in the moment when it happened, when Rajai Davis hit that home run and won, I that's like top 3 losing my mind.
Yes.
And I'm saying top 3. That includes the Game 7 you and I witnessed together. The only 2 other moments I think, were it would have been that dunk if LeBron had actually been able to dunk that ball, but instead he didn't, and it just turned into a terrified moment. But it was the 3 by Kyrie, and it was the moment that we won the championship. Obviously, our 1 and 2. Well, 1 being when we won the championship. But that was 3. That was 3. That was how amazing. I mean, I was screaming like someone had been murdered. I was so pumped.
I was laughing. I was shocked laughing.
It just was unbelievable. And I had said to myself at the time, honestly, I'm going to be okay if we don't win this game. That was just worth it. That was so amazing, so incredible. I'm so happy. I love this team so much. But that changed when Kipnis had that foul ball that looks like home run that he hits from that side. It looked exactly like it. I jumped up and shouted because I thought we had just won the World Series. And I saw it fade into the seats, and I just knew it was like that allegory, not an allegory, but like, when guys a deep fly ball, but it goes just foul, they're going to strike out and get out. Like, it's just automatic.
Yep.
That's how I felt in that moment. It's like, we're not going to win the World Series. He's going to, shit. And then on top of that, it was just like, I thought we'd won and it got taken away from us, and that put me into a dark place for a day. But for that thing, I think I would have had a better time handling that loss. But
yeah.
Oh man.
Now the other things that are different here is like the Cubs were so much more talented than the Indians, right? We were way outmatched in this year. So even to be in it like we were, I know up 3-1 and there was all the comparisons to the NBA finals, but the Cavs and the Warriors are 2 pretty evenly matched teams. The Cubs and the Indians were not.
No.
The Indians were really scrapping there, and to have been down like we were in that game, where the one thing we were counting on was Klubat and Miller locking them down, and to have them get roughed up as badly as they did and still come back
oh man,
was awesome. And it hurts. I mean, it sucks that they lost that, but I don't know. That team was so overachieving. There's so much to be proud of that it felt like I don't know. That made it hurt less too.
Yeah, for sure. I was going to say, this team is actually much more, the 3-1 comparisons. This team is much more like the Cavs in 2014.
Yes, beaten up.
2015 NBA Finals. Totally beaten up, missing 2 of their best 3 players, right? We were missing 2 of our best players. No, and I had said, like, we have a 3-1 lead, but, dude, we had to win that game. That was our only chance. Our only chance was to go up 3-1. And have one more shot with Kluber, because you had to hope that our injured 4th starter and our 5th starter could win 1 game between the 2 of them. All pitching on 3 days rest. That was the worst part. Everybody was on 3 days rest. Yep. So you got a much less effective Bauer and Tomlin in 6. Like, I knew going, my father-in-law, was a huge Cubs fan, was all depressed. And I said, like, you shouldn't be depressed. Like, we have a long shot to win either of these next 2 games. I mean, you guys are in a hole. The best case scenario for us, but I think Game 7 is very likely.
I felt that way throughout.
Yeah.
So, Patty, are you real pumped up with what the Tribe did?
I am, but I have a question for you before we leave the past behind, Matty.
Okay.
When we did our playoff preview, I made a valiant effort to make the case for why this year's Tribe deserves to be considered one of the most loved Tribe teams of all time. Now, obviously, winning the World Series would have clinched it, but a lot of our viewers or listeners, were just scoffed at my suggestion that they could compare it to either 95 or 97. Where do you stand now on that?
So I think I even said at the time that if they win the World Series, that it's a different conversation.
Automatically, but they didn't. So where do they stand now?
But they didn't. So I still think I like that 95 team more, and part of it is because that was the guts of what came after. So I think what follows, how they do this year, next year, the next couple years, will color how I feel about that team. But they are, I think I put them above the 97 team now.
Yeah.
And I think just behind 95.
I'm going to say they're my favorite team. I love these guys so much. The personalities in particular. They're all good guys. Like, I love that Tribe Team 95, but some of them were kind of dicks.
Dicks? What are you talking about?
Come on.
Albert Bell? Is that who you're referring to, Patty?
A little bit. Manny Ramirez kind of a dick, too. He was like our dick. He was our kind of like special.
He wasn't a dick back then. He was just a whack job.
Whack job, yeah. I thought Carlos Baerga was kind of coked up dick.
No. He wasn't a dick.
No.
Carlos? No. Kenny Lofton, so nice.
Yeah.
Omar, real
I love
nice. Tommy, real nice.
I love all
Sandy Alomar, real nice.
Alomar. It's just,
Chuck Nagy, real nice.
That's true.
Oral Hershiser, real nice. El Presidente, real nice.
You're right. Jose Mesa.
I don't know if he was nice or not, but
yeah, come on. He got into a fight with Omar Vizquel over a book Omar wrote. He's a dick.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Dick.
I mean, Omar sold him out a little bit in that book, but yeah, you're right.
What to be? I mean, the one dick the Tribe has is Trevor Bauer, who's also certifiably insane.
That dude's out his mind.
So I'm gonna go ahead and say I love this team. I love this team so much. This is my favorite team.
Are you really unhappy that Napoli's going to go away?
I'm a little bummed. I just bought, Becca was wearing during this podcast her Party Napoli shirt that I bought her for Hanukkah. I feel a little uncomfortable buying a Party Napoli shirt after the season was done, but like it caught on too late, and I can't buy one for myself because it just doesn't feel right. But Becca really got behind Napoli and loved him, and so I feel she deserves to have that shirt. And so. Did
you see the nice Twitter back and forth between him and Jose Ramirez?
Oh yeah! Oh goddamn! I saw that. I love those guys. Jose Ramirez, my favorite Tribe player. Mike Napoli is the one Tribe player that my son could recognize on site during the World Series. So I'm bummed to be losing him, but Matty. I mean,
yeah, as bummed as I am, if we had a competent cleanup hitter in that World Series, we very well might have won.
I think we would have, yeah. I mean, just one or two big swings could have changed a couple of the teams.
I am thoroughly surprised and impressed that they pulled that off.
Oh, it's incredible.
One, that the market settled the way that it – because he turned down a 4-year, $80 million deal from the Blue Jays.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously thinking there'd be bigger money out there. There wasn't. The Tribe seems like they played that market just right.
Well, it's just it's yet another Cleveland plant. Anderson Varejao helped give the Cavs the championship. Sabotage. Mark
Shapiro and what's his name?
Oh, I forget.
Ross Atkins.
But as somebody else pointed out, the two guys that they signed supposedly to replace him, they're spending more money on.
Yeah, it does feel like the Blue Jays mishandled that one.
They blew it. It sounds like they blew it. But
pretty badly.
Only because it's incredible that we got Encarnacion for what we got him for, which is 3 years. 3 years and 65. It's incredible. Yeah. It's 60 per year, but the 5 is for what the buyout if we want to buy out of his 4th year.
Yep. And I'm guessing we're going to buy him out of that 4th year, probably, but whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
That's exciting, man. He is a fun player. Scared the crap out of me on that Blue Jays team.
Terrified me, but is he?
Is he what?
He's also kind of a dick.
No, I think that's just if you're on the other team, he seems like a dick.
One of those guys, like
players like playing with him.
That's good to hear.
He's a good clubhouse guy, supposedly.
Oh, that's great. No Mike Napoli, but it's fine. Let's give Mike Napoli his due. Like, there's so many good articles about like what he meant to the team in terms of team building and confidence. The thing is, I think like they've grown up.
Oh yeah.
Kipnis has sort of taken over that role. I mean, we don't give him enough credit. Like the stuff he was saying, he was just such a fucking rock for this team. Did you see what Kitness tweeted after the Encarnacion signing?
No, I have another one for you though. Remind me. I saw it.
It was a gift from Nacho Libre.
Oh yeah, that's right. I thought you were going to say the one he put out on like Christmas or Christmas Eve when he was like, I was at church and they were doing communion. And when the priest got to me, he said, "Body of God." And I said, "Thank you. I have been working out."
I did see that. Oh, man, I love Kitness. That's so great. Yeah, I mean, this is exciting. This is a team. I mean, look, the scary thing is, like, you know, as we found out this year, you know, pitching is very volatile in terms of health. I don't know what to expect of these guys next year.
Right. That's positive. I mean, the good news is that we have it, and there's depth, and there's more in the minors. So you crossed your fingers there. Looks like we're going to lose Rajai Davis, which is too bad.
Yeah,
that's a nice place in my heart.
That's the one big hole we have left, Matty, is the competent center fielder from a defensive perspective. Because it sure as hell ain't.
Right. Although this kid, Greg Allen.
Well, that's right. Is he ready?
He was gonna be in the Lucroy trade. Well, they think he'll start. I think they're going to start him at AA or AAA and then C. But he rates extremely well defensively, so I think we see him at some point this year.
Yeah, Brad Zimmer, our number one prospect. It's a question whether he's going to play this year, right? Or is
he? Leagues? Yeah,
I'm not sure.
I mean, sorry, I just want to be sure I understand. He's not hurt. He'll play this year.
No, I meant.
But I don't think they think he'll be ready for the big leagues this year. That would be a bit of a surprise.
Yeah, I think he's something to work on. But
it's the other Yandy Diaz.
Right. Is he the catcher?
Right. Not outfield. I think play third base, play corner outfield.
That's right.
I think that's the most likely guy.
Come up.
To come up and play.
Mm-hmm.
Eric Gonzalez is sort of a super sub who was at AAA last year, who I think you could see come up and be the utility guy maybe. If we fall out of love with Michael Martinez at some point.
No, thank God.
We should fall out of love with Michael Martinez at some point. Mm-hmm. You gotta hope Brantley comes back.
Yeah, but you can't count on it. Like I'm sort of.
I know you're super nervous about it.
I'm beyond nervous. I'm to the point where I am mentally counting him out, so I won't be devastated when he doesn't come back. I think the way he wasn't able to come back from his injury last year bodes very poorly for his long-term future. But
that would really suck.
It would really suck, but we'd still be okay. We just added.
I just mean from a like Sizemore going out at the beginning of his peak, and
that's exactly what it is.
Brantley.
That's exactly what it is. That's why I was so nervous last year when a guy plays that little and he can't get past the injury. You gotta hope he still has it in him. He's a whole year without really playing. He's gonna be rusty as hell.
Yeah.
So we'll have to see. But Matt, anything else on the Tribe before we move on?
No, I'm just real pumped for next year, man. I'm glad they sold a bunch of season tickets. I hope that keeps going. The fans need to show up.
Yeah,
that's something that's in Cleveland when that signing happened, and that was all the talk on sports radio. Is all right. The Dolans opened their checkbook.
Time for us to,
and it seems like they are so far. So that's great. I'm very excited next year, Patty, because the Indians visit both the Giants.
Ooh!
So I'll get to go to a lot of games.
That's exciting. Indians will only visit the Yankees once, I think, because of the stupid ass competitive. What do they call it? The unbalanced schedule. So we can watch 20 games against the fucking Royals. Yes, that to me is the worst thing in the baseball schedule. Not in a league play, but unbalanced schedule.
Well, it's a good thing for an Indians team that's in a division where the White Sox and Royals seem to be packing it in.
That is true. That's true. I will take that as the consolation prize. Matty, should we talk about the Browns? They won a game, Matty.
Let's talk. I've got 9 minutes, Patty. You can talk about the Browns. I'll let it go. I know you want to badly.
They won a game. That's great, and they're still the number one pick. Let's talk about something more important. How about Star Wars?
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah,
That's much more fun.
So you seen it once. I've seen it twice. Give me your instant review.
Thoroughly enjoyed it. I don't know that there's a whole lot to I don't. There's missing something for me, and I'm trying to figure out what it is. I liked all the actors in that movie. I think to a person, I don't know that there's any actor that I did not enjoy their performance, which I'm thinking through right now. I don't think there was one. The basic construct of the story I liked. I think there's just something missing around, I guess, spoiler alert, because we'll just talk about it.
Spoiler alert, up the wazoo. We're talking about Star Wars. We haven't seen it yet. Good.
There's something about not knowing Jin well enough as a character.
Ding, 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 ding. Yep.
To be totally invested in it, like that just comes out of nowhere. So even like her relationship with Saw Gerrera.
Yep. It's all talk.
I didn't really buy that. Even the stuff with her dad, what her motivations are, what she's been doing her whole life, her relationship with the rebellion, all of that stuff didn't really come together. And so that sort of was the fatal flaw of the whole enterprise for me. Not a fatal flaw. That's not a fair way to put it, but that's the major chink in the armor there.
That was my biggest criticism of the movie, was that I wanted to care about Jin and Cassian, to be frank, and I didn't really care about them. They were very.
I needed to one of them a lot more, which means I probably needed to see more of her history.
Now, interestingly, watching the second time through, Matty, it was much more enjoyable, and I cared more about the characters because now I know their entire story. Now I know their background, I know their motivation. Now I know what they're fighting for. I know that Jin doesn't want to belong to something greater than herself because she's been abandoned by two different father figures.
Right.
That she doesn't like being ordered around, doesn't like following orders, wants to look out for herself. And so the whole story is about her learning to let go and become part of something bigger than herself, to the ultimate level of sacrificing her life for the greater cause, right? And Cassian learning to follow his morals instead of the opposite direction of just shooting guys in the back because that's what the rebellion needs. Drawing a line in the sand and doing the right thing to help someone that he cares about, right? He believes in. So you got that, but on the second way pass through, you really got it. It's just,
and honestly, you probably don't want to hear this, but that's probably something that's true of Star Wars in general, right?
No, I was going to say it's a pattern. I had the exact same reaction to not the exact same. I like the characters in The Force Awakens, and I was definitely invested in Rey.
I'm saying, right? Where that's something where by the time you could think critically enough to evaluate a movie like that, those characters already had an enormous arc in mythology that you were fully aware of and could place it in. But if you're just watching New Hope fresh, I would imagine that you would have similar criticisms.
Right. Well, no, I would disagree a little bit in the sense that I think that the structure of the story made clear what the motivations were for Luke. They teach it in writing school. Like it's the perfect story structure. Following the hero's journey and everything. You can complain about like the bad dialogue and the cheesiness factor, but that's also. That was just a fun movie that still like made you care a little bit about the characters from a superficial standpoint. They didn't need to be like.
But I think you're viewing that with the full knowledge in the same way that the second time through Rogue One, you were like, oh no, I get it. She had been abandoned by two father figures, and she wanted this, and she needed to give up, and she had her own hero's journey that she had to go through, and I see that now.
Well, yes and no.
I think that's sort of true of New Hope, man.
It's hard.
Maybe you should watch that again. It's pretty bad.
Oh, I did. I watched it immediately after the second viewing. It was kind of fun because the best part about the Rogue One is nostalgia for real fans, and that this is a great job of plugging.
It really did that well.
It plugs in plot holes from episode 4.
Yeah.
It has great shoutbacks. I don't know. You probably watched it late enough, so you didn't have the real fans. I watched it opening night, and the biggest cheer the movie got was when the two fighter pilots from A New Hope spliced in. Did you recognize that?
The two fighter pilots.
Rogue, Red Leader and Gold Leader.
Oh yeah.
Those were actors. Those were cut outtakes from A New Hope that they spliced into the great battle at the end of the movie. Both those moments got huge cheers from the crowd when that thing came up. People were a little bit uncomfortable when Tarkin appeared, and that was another problem for me. Was that CGI wasn't ready for prime time.
Yeah, I read a review where that was the guy's only real criticism of the movie was loved everything about it, but the Grand Moff Tarkin thing really threw him for a loop.
Yeah,
just wasn't sure how to feel about it, basically.
One thing I'll give Rogue One, and I think you might agree with, I'm guessing, and I thought was the best thing that it did was that it felt like the most. I think, like, every Star Wars was going to have plot holes, as Becca said. Like, so they have one guy guarding the entire archive of the entire empire, like one clerk guy. But like honestly, that's a little more explainable than most of the Star Wars stuff you see. But this is the most realistic depiction of like what life might be like in that universe, right? It was the most gritty and believable from a textile, like acted standpoint.
Totally agree. And there was no Jedis. I think that's a big part of it, right?
Yeah, totally. But what I'm talking about, what reason why I don't agree with you with just watching the second time through is the reason why I love the original Star Wars, and I would have the same critique. Those, even if the characters themselves were not delivered with the depth, right, of these characters in terms of their impassioned performances, because it was a little more campy, right? Those movies, though, at least A New Hope, because A New Hope was the one introducing you to new characters, did a better job of setting up what their motivations were from the get-go. I mean, it's so clear up the top, and they showed it instead rather than telling it. Whereas Jin, you sort of see a little bit when she tries to run away from the rebels that are rescuing her, but other than that, she's just passive in the first hour. Just, yeah, sure, going along. You don't really know what her motivation is. You just know she's involved with Saul, and it's not really until she has this long dialogue scene with Saul that you get her motivational background. But that's telling, not showing. So you don't really feel it. You don't really care. And I think that's what doomed it, because otherwise, I felt like they nailed a lot of the texture and everything. And also, last thing, K2 Robot just stole the show. It was the best part of that movie. And
that was great.
90% of the best lines.
He was fabulous.
Because Captain I'm coming with you too. Oh, it was great.
No, they did it.
Yeah.
So this is random, but the blind temple guardian, whatever we're calling that dude, I can't remember the character's name.
Chimrit Imwe?
Yeah, that dude.
Yeah.
Did he remind you? Did you feel? I felt like that was cribbed directly from the book version of World War Z.
Oh,
do you remember what I'm talking about? There's
no.
In one of the subplots there is a blind Japanese. I think he's a monk. I think he's a Buddhist monk.
Yes.
That's just out in like a big in the woods basically during the apocalypse, and just survives. That's blind by relying on his senses, and invents a fighting style that eventually gets taught to other people to battle the zombies. It felt a whole lot like that to me.
That's interesting. I don't know. My memory of that chapter in World War Z is not as vivid as yours, or was it maybe multiple chapters? Can't remember, but so that didn't strike for me as much. One thing I will say.
Did you like that character?
Oh, I love that character. He was the one guy I got choked up with when he died. You know, I choke up very easily in movies, but but that was the one.
You choked up?
Yeah, I got a little. I was like, oh, I love that dude. You know, I can't. Well, I mean, I care. I care that he died. Everyone else who died, more or less, except for the robot. Him and the robot were the two that I was kind of bummed about. And Chimrit Yue's buddy, his burly guardian or whatever. Like those deaths, I felt bad about. What's that?
That dude was great.
Oh, so great. And their little banter was wonderful. Felt a little bit like Matty and Patty, don't you?
A little. I don't know who that makes you, but
come on, makes you the awesome blind guy. You're the big dude with the Gatling gun.
I guess that's true. It would have to go that way.
You don't believe in the Force, but I am one with the Force, and the Force is with me.
Yeah.
Anyway, it bodes well for the team that's in charge of this movie, this franchise. I feel like it's in good hands, and I'm already very. I mean, I'm still heartbroken over Carrie Fisher's death.
That's what I wanted to ask you, Patty. Maybe this is where you're going. Is what does that mean for Princess Leia? Like, is the suggestion here that because we talked about this earlier that maybe she's the one that dies in the next, whatever they're calling Episode 8.
Yeah, I don't know, and I mean, look, I'm obsessed with reasons beyond Star Wars. It's like she's awesome.
Of course.
Books and I just met her a month ago, as we said at the top of the podcast. It's just, it's
no. This is not the reason to be upset about anything. I'm just making
no. But
interested in the conjecture here, the fan conjecture.
Well, but that aside, it's also one of those things of like, it stinks to have somebody take away from an active project too. Like that is another bummer. Not that she was essential for the Star Wars movies, but she was the mother of the villain.
Right.
I got to assume that she was part of the story arc through 9, to be honest. And that's the other thing is like I don't know what they have in mind for 8, but 8's in the can. Like if Luke dies in 8, reason, holy shit, because that means they have to kill off Leia somehow. Now that she's, the actress that played her is dead, they can't. I mean, there's legal restrictions, I think, or maybe not. Maybe she signed them all away.
Or Patty, even more disconcerting. After the Grand Moff Tarkin stuff does it matter if the actor dies?
Right. Well, that's my point. Like they can't. I don't think they can do that with her. It's too soon, right? The Peter Cushing, the guy who played Tarkin, had been dead for like 20 years. I think it's a little easier to get away with that. And Carrie Fisher was still alive, so playing her as a person that was so like now. I think that there's going to be a lot of controversy around that. I have no idea if she gets killed in obviously Episode 8, but she is the mother of the villain. You gotta imagine that she comes into play somehow off stage, in a Yoda type, not in a front stage, but like in a Yoda suspension over. I don't know what's gonna happen, man.
It's gonna be very interesting to see.
I gotta imagine they try and kill her off stage somehow. But in Episode 9, I assume she ends Episode 8 alive.
You would think that would compromise the storytelling in a pretty big way, though.
Yeah, it reminds me of again.
Heath Ledger.
Yes, 100%.
Yeah.
Like the third Batman movie did not really make a lot of sense. It was not that great, and you knew they were planning to have the Joker in that and the third Batman.
Yep.
They kept him alive at the end of the movie, of the first one, so you knew that was going to happen. And so they had to write a different story. So that's something that's gonna, come to play. So I don't know. That's a big bummer. We're just gonna have to find out. One thing I'm gonna try and do, Matt. I'm not sure I'm gonna be able to do it. I'm gonna try and not watch any of the trailers for Episode 8.
For Episode 8.
Yeah.
I'll just watch them and tell you what happens. Don't worry.
Goddamn it, Matty. Because I remember being upset that certain shots I saw in the first one, the moment Han and Chewie walk on to the.
Oh yeah. We're home. That thing.
So I knew that they were going to be coming in when they were all freaked out on the Millennium Falcon and about to spring a poison gas leak. There was that scene in the original trailer where Kylo Ren stumbling through the forest and shoots his arm out and then his light punches open. It's a great iconic shot. It's not in the movie.
Yeah, they didn't use it. There was a ton in the Rogue One trailer that didn't end up in the movie too.
And that's actually
it's weird.
I have a feeling they cut out some scenes of dialogue that might have actually helped Jim's character. Because that dialogue scene originally, they have all these lines about she says, "Well, it's a rebellion, isn't it? I rebel." Clearly talking about how she's doesn't follow orders.
Yeah.
They come across. They were just lecturing her, and she didn't say anything. So she was passive. That's a big problem. It's an easy problem to fall into. To have your main character be passive. But that was a huge thing. But otherwise, I agree. I thoroughly enjoyed that movie. I enjoyed it much more in the second half because I was able to care about the characters this time through. We didn't even talk about the fucking kick-ass Darth Vader scene at the end.
Oh, that was great.
So great.
Him mowing through the rebel soldiers.
That's all I wanted the prequels to be. At least the third prequel was supposed to be a whole movie of Darth Vader fucking people up.
Yeah.
Supposed to be episode 3. That was what Revenge of the Sith was supposed to be. Yeah. I mean, the one caveat I have is I did not appreciate the super swirly lightsaber emotions he did. That seemed very prequel-y.
Yeah.
But everything else is perfect. Just perfect.
Let me ask you one Star Wars nerd question before we go, Patty.
Go for it.
When they go to get Vader in this movie and he's in his, he's out of his suit and he's in that tank.
Mm-hmm.
What planet was that on? Was that the same planet that he got burned on at the end of?
No, it's not.
Episode 3? It looked very similar, though,
yes,
right?
It looks like Mustafar, which I'm annoyed that I know the name of the planet in episode 3. It's not Mustafar. I forget what planet it's supposed to be. However, the design of his castle or whatever which I didn't like. I was like, that's cheesy as shit. It is actually an original Ralph McQuarrie sketch. Ralph McQuarrie is the conceptual artist that basically came up with every single major visual. The visual look for Star Wars is basically Ralph McQuarrie, not George Lucas. And that was one of his old drawings that they've left on the cutting room floor. I think maybe for a good reason. It was a little bit cheesy. It makes it a lot cheesy. And honestly, I have one big problem with that scene with Darth Vader. Darth Vader has a sense of humor. He's dark. He's sarcasm. He's got dark humor. He does not deal in fucking puns.
Choke on your words.
Choke on your
ambition.
Oh, it's not even ambition. Back to point out is aspirations, which is a second pun. It is like the breathing.
Oh yeah, no, I didn't even think about that.
Yeah,
that's not good.
Colleague of mine in the office who is just bubbly and light and loves puns to death. If I'm reminded of her, you failed in portraying Darth Vader. That was a terrible line. I was so mad. But it's all made up for with that fucking action scene at the end. I know James Earl Jones is getting up there in age, but I would just kill. I would love for there to be just one standalone Darth Vader movie. Before he fully retires, I would love for there to be one full-on Darth Vader movie. It's not going to happen, probably, but they could certainly get a Vader impersonator. I
don't think that would be hard. They might have enough dialogue recorded already from James Earl Jones to just make it happen.
Yeah,
spice stuff together.
There are guys that can do his voice well enough. It's weird. He even sounded weird in this one. I didn't sound like himself. It's a little. And actually, here's the interesting thing, Matty. Last thing I'll tell you, last nerd thing I'll give you. If his costume looked a little clunky and his voice a little higher pitched, they did that like a historical movie, a historical film. They were just trying to match the crappy costume from the original.
Yeah.
And Vader's voice modulation, James Earl Jones' voice modulation was much higher in the first one than it is in Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi. And it's the Empire Strikes Back and Return of the Jedi Vader that we really remember most.
So you feel that was very historically accurate?
That's what it was. I kind of wish they hadn't done that.
just for aesthetic reasons?
Just stick with who were the better Vader. That would have been okay for me. But still, that's the kind of stuff I'm like, this is the kind of shit that Lucas wouldn't do. So like the guys running the show here are they're doing the right things. If anyone's going to figure out the explanation right, it's this team. So I have full faith that they're gonna just do the right thing, whatever that right thing ends up being.
Well, that's exciting.
Yeah, that's exciting. That's a good point, I think, to end on. Thank you, Matty, for going 10 minutes over on your time. Well, it sounds like you've already started walking to wherever you're going.
That is correct. I had to make a Star Wars accommodation for you.
Fair enough. I appreciate it.
Happy to do so.
Well, that does it for the Cleveland Sports Hour. We got a big game coming up tomorrow night. Well, I guess it'll be tonight by the time this podcast goes out to everybody else against the Celtics. One of those teams we could hate. So,
Patty, let's maybe have a little more regular schedule for the second half of the basketball season.
Schedule. I think we fell off of it with the post-World Series hangover and the holidays. Just got jammed up the works. Let's get more regular on this. So,
every couple weeks maybe.
every couple of weeks. Let's do it. We got a couple of milestones coming up in January, so we'll check in using the Cavs barometer.
That's right.
But yeah, we'll be more regular coming up, and that does it for us here at the Cleveland Sports Hour. Until next time, this is Matty and Patty saying.
Run.
Ship.
Ship. All right.